Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Author's Quill. We're running dual shows tonight, so Echo's Professional is on right now. So if you're into illustration, that's where you want to be. If you're looking for authors, this is where you want to be. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff today, and we have Bill Dockery on with us today, and then we're going to have Sean Hazlett on after that, and both are what's that, Christopher? No. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. If weaponry offends you, you might want to leave. Well, I'm just for my woke audience. I just want to be honest with y'all. I know some of y'all are kind of woke, and I don't want to hurt your little feelings or anything. And it's I just want to be nice and warn y'all ahead of time. We might be talking about things that may offend some of you little woke people. Okay, now that we said that, Kevin, how you doing, man? I mean, I've heard a lot about you. So where you want to start at today? You got the floor, so we're going to let you start wherever you want to.
I don't know quite what you'd like me to do at present.
Tell you what.
Why don't you by himself? He's an author. He's written all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
I've been going through his site here. I've been looking at all of his books: Undeclared War, Hostile Borders, Weapons Grade, Task Force Mars, Operation Orion. So I haven't read your books yet, but I'm fascinated. I just interviewed Bill Fawcett recently with his book Never Again, and I did a lot of stuff working with James Rosone, who's written a lot of near future hard sci-fi. Very scary stuff, military, but I'm fascinated to hear about you.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm known as a military historian, a lot of work with weaponry, but also I'm effectively the unofficial SEAL historian. I've written more about them than any one author.
Excellent.
Several of the books you just listed, I wrote with retired Command Master Chief Dennis Chalker, a plank owner of 6.
Wow, so I was in the agency that went to go save the SEALs, right? That's the Special Forces branch I was in, if you actually know who they are. What's that, Christopher? There is no name for them. Sorry, guys. They don't actually have an official name. No, never did. So first off, what got you into all of this? I mean, was it a fascination when you were young or just...
Yeah, actually, I confused the hell out of a general. I mean, a full 4-star general. I started working with weapons when I was in high school. Read Small Arms of the World, the 69 edition, things like that. When I went into the Army, I got rifted from Special Forces, so they sent me to armorer school, and I got sent to Company A of the Old Guard in Washington, D.C. The Old Guard has at least one of every weapon the Army ever used. It's a historical and ceremonial unit. I showed up when we recreated George Washington's bodyguard, the Commander-in-Chief's Guard, and my arms room had 77 flintlock muskets.
Damn. I didn't even know there was that many left. Not originals, anyway.
And I had, we were all running in circles, learning everything we could. They sent me to the Smithsonian and Colonial Williamsburg to learn how to knap flints and basically beat on a rock with a hammer until it's a shape you want. And I showed up back at the arms room. The CO came down, said, "Okay, how was the class? Did this, and this." I have all these bandages on my hand. It's basically like shaping a piece of glass.
Yeah, that stuff is sharp.
And he said, "Well, what did you learn?" This. I turned on the grinder, put a dull flint on it. There, it's sharp. Hence, I was the only armorer to go to knap flint school.
Yeah, you must have loved that.
And I have, we get our standard inspections. Well, the post I was on, McNair, we had more generals than we had standard officers. And he comes down to my arms room and he asked me my background because everybody was talking about me. And I told him, and he basically said, "What the hell are you doing in an arms room? You should be a cook or a baker or something, not an ex-gunsmith working in an arms room." So that was kind of the start. I've worked with him ever since. I did more than little romping around with the military. Managed to bust my leg jumping out of a plane with the SEALs. And Are you familiar with a convention called Dragon Con?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll both be there actually this year.
Well, I'm sorry you're going to miss it because several years ago I stopped doing it. We did the armory at Dragon Con, and it was 2 rooms full of weapons. They were set up for display. One room was all the firearms, the other room was everything else. And it was the only thing like it of its kind.
I bet you it was. I'd have loved to have seen it.
Well, there's pictures online. Well, you can sort of see it. Bill Fawcett has worked with me, and we started up a website called dockeryarmory.com, and it's an encyclopedic website of weapons on the internet. It's the only one of its kind, which is really weird when you start putting one of those things and saying, what do you mean it's the only one of its kind?
It's kind of weird.
Well, I cover a wide gamut. To tell you the truth, right now I'm working on German World War II rocket launchers.
Well, I know I went through some of your site. I mean, you break them down to the piece. I mean, this is, ladies and gentlemen, the website he's talking about is actually a very serious website. If you're into any kind of arms at all, I mean, he takes you from start to finish of the weapon, and it's not just guns. There's a lot of other things there. I noticed that you're very meticulous in about the way you do it, which I appreciate because being ex-military, I did. I was, eventually I ended up in electronics after I got out of regular service, but they told me I enjoyed the other branch too much. So actually what happened is I was out on a flight deck one day on the Nimitz, and I was helping out with the plane captains, and something screwed up on electronics. And my first passion was avionics and electronics advanced. And I started out there, and the commander came down at the time was the number 2 on the ship. He goes, where are you detached? I said, I'm detached special forces. He's like, why? I said, because that's where I got detached in boot camp. And he said, but I hear you got advanced degrees in electronics. I'm like, yeah. He said, well, guess what? You've been promoted and moved. So they took me out of being an enlisted man and promoted me to officer and put me on advanced electronics on a chip and gave me a class 10 security clearance, which is higher than damn presidents, and said, okay, this is what you're going to do now. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. Because I actually enjoyed what I was doing before. I mean, I hadn't killed nobody yet, but I enjoyed what I was doing before. And that was it. They were dead serious. That was it. I was moved, promoted, and that's where I spent the rest of the time. I was in the Navy. That's where they wanted me. They said, you have too good of a grasp on advanced electronics and avionics, and this is where we want you. I was like, oh, okay, see, that's what happens when you F up in reverse. When you show skills that you shouldn't show. Let me ask you, though, because I know you've been through a lot of arms. Do you have any favorite pistols, rifles? I mean, your own personal favorites?
Actually, it's a funny story. I have learned to never tell anyone what my favorite weapon is because at the armory at Dragon Con, I had an actor ask me, and I showed him, and he had me build him one.
Oh, shit.
And it's kind of like, okay, well, what's your favorite gun? The one with bullets in it.
Yes, well, that's true.
But I'm classic, a 1911 guy. I have built custom that have gone to Bianchi Cup, Second Chance. That'll tell you how old I am. And one of my claims to fame is I could make an end-frame Smith & Wesson feel like a Colt Python.
Damn, that's skill. I mean, it's skill. And by the way, I'm a fan of the 1911 myself, but it's I used to own 4 or 5 of them. I think I'm down to 1 now because I had bought a Glock, which I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to hate on all my Glock fans out there. But so I decided I was into doing some target stuff, so I bought a Canik. It's a Turkish-made 9mm. One of the most accurate guns I've ever shot. It's designed weird. It's designed top heavy, so you would think it would hang, but when you pull the trigger, that extra weight balances out perfect and gives you a perfect shot almost every time. I was surprised. I'm going to be honest. I thought I was going to be disappointed because the way the gun felt in my hand, I was like, I don't know. And then I popped the trigger and I was like, well, look at this. It comes with a 3-pound trigger on it, which, is fabulous to start off with that. Plus I've dropped it in mud, kicked it, stomped it. It's not like a Glock, man. I done destroyed 2 or 3 Glocks, but this thing is actually built to take the bullshit. and it's a fun gun to have, but it's not. The only real thing I didn't like about the 1911 is unless I put an extended clip in it, I think I was limited to what's this one got. I think this holds 11, and is this one 11 or 10? Anyway, it was surprising to me. Now for like my mechanic, I have 50-round clips that just slide in the bottom, and I can get them for the 1911. I don't know. It seems to throw off the way it shoots.
It
Maybe
does.
I mean, I was going to say maybe it's just me, but it doesn't feel right with that clip sticking out the bottom of it. And I like my 19. It's a very accurate gun. It's a very powerful gun. What do you mean, Jimmy? No, it's not a 44 Magnum. It's a 45 Magnum. Yes.
No, it's 44 HCP automatic
okay.
pistol.
Okay. See, I was corrected because he knows far more about guns than I do.
Well, I did one thing with my 45. I had to explain to an engineer at Colt that I could make a 1911 feed empty brass. And they swore it wasn't possible. And it was, here you go, and you can run the whole clip through of empty brass. My philosophy being, if you can get it to feed that, it'll feed any bullet you put in it.
Yeah, I won't doubt that. Well, I was surprised when you could. One of my 9mm will shoot 380s and 9mm, which I was surprised by.
It probably look a little funny when they come out.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, well, it did. And then, but I was surprised. A friend of mine said, "Oh, no, I can shoot him." I said, "Get out of here, man." And I have a 380. So I said, "Well, you know what? I'm going to give it a try." And son of a bitch, I was like, "Well, look at this." First off, the bullet was weird when it came out the end, the way it hit the target. And the brass caps kind of were, how can I, like squished. I don't know how to explain it. It was I'll just say it was deformed and leave it at that. But it shot it. I was surprised. So because I have a couple hundred rounds of 380s laying around the house from the two 380s I own, and then I got a good 1,500 rounds of 9mm bullets laying around, and I got about the same for the 45. I got about the same amount of bullets for it. But I don't like the low end bullets. I like the higher, more powder, more knockdown, more distance. Do you have any favorite? I mean, let's talk pistols for a minute. Do you have any favorite rounds you would like? I mean, I know they got the new razors out, and they got the new the exploding hollow points, and the ones you can fill with mercury or
talking about the projectile. Yeah. First off, the mercury bullet that they talk about doesn't exist, doesn't work, doesn't do.
No, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't do anything.
Just from a movie. The exploders, they really don't work. They never have. You can't put more chemically explosive energy in a projectile than it's carrying with it when it was fired.
That was my argument. Oh no. Because I said, well, I got the triggered hollow points. It's got the little piece that just makes it fan out a little bit more. But it's not. It doesn't explode by any means. I mean, it just, I guess it fans the bullet out a little bit. I guess what I'm trying to say, and it fans the head of the bullet out a little bit. But it's not going to blow a big 5-inch hole out your back. And
if you want the most effective projectile you can put in a handgun for defensive work, you get frangibles. A friend of mine, Whit Engel, basically designed the darn things. They are unreal what they do, and they won't exit a body. So you don't worry about anything around it, and it dumps all its energy within a few inches.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Plus, of course, can't ricochet.
What's that, Jimmy? Oh, no, Jimmy, I have filled bullets with cyanide before. Yeah, in the old days, you could get cyanide. That's how they used to do prime wood, was with a cyanide mixture. And it's not allowed anymore because they cut wood in stores, so they can't have it. But you can still get it. But problem is, where I live, that shit's illegal. You get caught with. Besides that, let me tell y'all something, guys. When you fill the tip of a bullet with this stuff and then you wax over it, wax tends to melt when it gets hot. So you never know where this stuff's going to end up. So I just soon have regular bullets. Besides, with 31 rounds, if you can't kill somebody with that, Jesus, you might as well just give up, man. Come on. Go home or something.
You'll appreciate one of the things that came up with my website. I've been getting tremendous cooperation from gun companies like Heckler and Koch. And, well, I had pictures of some of the rare SEAL submachine guns. And even the people who wrote the books about them had mistakes in it. And when I'm telling the guy at the military show, hi, it's this, this, and this. How do you know that? Here's pictures of where I took the gun apart. It doesn't do that. And the guy standing next to me was the vice president of Heckler and Koch, and he invited me over to the Grey Room in Germany, and then we'll go down to Bavaria, shoot guns, and eat beer and sausages.
Sounds like a good day to me.
Yeah, I twist my arm. That was right before COVID.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not good.
It goes again. At any rate, one of the questions guys would ask me is, why do you want to know what the magazine weighs? Because I want to know the weight of the empty weapon, the weight of the feed device, and the weight of the feed device with bullets in it. Well, why do you want to know that? I was in the infantry. You don't carry those things. Gun don't go bang.
Yeah, well, that's
And
that's an understatement there, but yeah.
Like a BAR, the 1918 A2 BAR, everybody's seen in the movies, that empty magazine weighed half a pound.
Yeah, God help you when it was full.
They were real men who carried that shit. And I carry my own measuring equipment with me. I have a briefcase full of it, and I carry it to gun shows. Sometimes I just had a police range officer bring me a 1910 Maxim suppressor to measure and photograph.
Wow.
I haven't seen one except photographs.
I think the heaviest thing I ever carried was an M60. It was and by the way, them things are freaking heavy. So I didn't believe this story, by the way, that you could melt an M60 barrel. Guess what, people? You can melt an M60 freaking barrel. I didn't believe him. My commander kept telling me, "Oh no, you can melt." I said, "No, there's no way you can melt this thing, man. This thing is made out of serious steel." So I sat there, and I said, "Wait, it's making this weird sound," and all of a sudden, just plunk, plunk, plunk out the sides. I was like, "Oh, I guess I melted." I'm lucky I didn't kill myself with the stupid thing. I really didn't believe him. I'd heard stories that M60, M50, you could melt the barrel if you shot enough rounds through it, but I always thought, it had a cooling rod on. I figured, oh no, it's going to stay cool. Well, I was wrong.
It's got a piece of what's called stellite right in front of the chamber, and that will keep it from blowing up in your face, but you'll destroy it to the barrel.
Yeah. Thank God, because I melted the living crap out of it. And I still remember my commander. He said, "You're gonna have to buy." I said, "I ain't buying shit." I was just trying to find that if you could. And I got to tell you this. I mean, when I qualified, when I got my sharpshooter, snipers, and I got all three of my long range ones when I was in the service, and I got them with an M16 and M14. I don't like an M16. I'm not gonna lie to you. I found the gun to be awkward and clumsy, and even though I was accurate at 100 yards, I was 20 for 20 at 100 yards, 20 for 200 yards, and with the M14 I was 20 for almost 500 yards with an arc. It's the M16 just, I don't know, it just didn't feel right to me.
It's light, and when you're leaning on it, it's that crang noise as the bolt goes backwards right next to your ear. And
that's what it was.
Is a steel rifle. I carried one for a while. I prefer a 14 above an awful lot.
I do too. Oh, did I knock you off? No. What happened? Okay, I just thought I lost you there for a second. That's all.
But yes, I have used just about every kind of weapon you can name, or at least a type, and I've had my fun with it, of course.
I'm impressed with your website, I got to say.
Well, there's the stories are like, I'm at SHOT Show, I'm on the range for the Dog and Pony Show. The guy hands me a Chris submachine gun, and I ask him, how do you work it? Just to be sure that I had everything square in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm popping it up and snapping off 2 and 3 round bursts, which is what I was taught how to use one. And he goes, "You've done this before." More than twice, yes.
Yeah, more than twice. Well, you can tell when somebody's familiar with a gun. I mean, I got to use a bunch of was it marksmen, sharpshooters, and snipers is what I got in the Navy. That's how I ended up in Special Forces, by the way, because I qualified with the. So the 9mm was a joke because I went one day and shot it. I was just blowing the hell out of the target, and I realized this gun had no kick. It was a modified 9mm to a 22.
Oh, it was a neck down.
Yeah, so I'm like, what? So I looked at my command. I said, "What are we? We're not going to use these in the field. This is garbage." And he's like, "No." I said, "Dude, this is a 22. Everybody in this company should be scoring, at least 5 out of 10 in the target." And these SOBs were, you could tell people have never shot a gun before. Oh my God, you can tell they're missing the targets. I'm like, how can you miss it? And I grew up in the bayou, so we were raised on guns, but I'm sitting there laughing. The guy got all mad at me. I said, "Dude," I said, "Look, I'm gonna turn it upside down and I'm gonna shoot it like this and watch. I'm gonna go through the target every time." He's like, "How do you do that?" I said, "It's a 22." I was like, just pointed at the damn target and pull the trigger.
Okay.
Like,
shooting a sub-caliber device. I've done them too. And in the military, we use them because you can use them in limited ranges, indoor ranges. And that's all. It's just, okay, can you line the sights up and actually hit that piece of paper? If so, great. If not, do it again.
yeah,
And
it's well, people don't realize you have to qualify to get out of boot camp. And I was like,
mhm.
yeah, I can understand people with the M16. If you never shot a rifle before, especially a machine gun, and I don't completely consider the M16 a real machine gun. I mean, even though it'll shoot unobstructed, there's just something about the gun that just, like I said, it just never felt right to me in my hands. I was accurate as all hell with it, but I was just the M14 had a little more weight. It felt a little more comfortable to me, and I'm used to a kick. Because I was raised on, 30-06s and 203s, 208s, things like that, and shotguns and stuff like that's what I was raised on. So, and everybody in my family served. So I was more used to a gun. The M16 didn't even have a kick to it, or it didn't feel like it did to me. And so I was almost like I was over preparing myself to pull the trigger. I was expecting some kind of real recoil, and I wasn't getting it. I was like, And I don't know. It just bothered me. It's what is that, Lonnie? No. I shot a lot of guns.
If we ever have the opportunity, I'll let you shoot my probably last gun I'll ever get. I have a Quigley Sharps. It's a 45, 120, 500 Sharps with a 34-inch barrel and very accurate sights, ladder sights.
Hmm.
And it's a duplicate of the one he used in the movie. Quigley. And if you don't know the numbers, that means it fires a cartridge, 45 caliber, 120 grains of black powder, and a 500 grain bullet.
That's a freaking cannon, is what that is.
Yes, it is.
That's exactly what that is. Michael, the most kick I ever got out of a gun is my daddy owned an elephant gun with a 6-inch stock and a 52-inch barrel. It was we had a 10 gauge and an 8 gauge, and the first time and this tells you how my family is. First time I ever shot the 10 gauge, I was 10, and it knocked me clean on my ass because stupid Joe pulled both triggers at one time. Oh no! I mean, when I say it knocked me on my ass, I mean it knocked me on my ass. But that gun was dangerous, man. It had one of them side-to-side safeties on it, and if you just hit it on a tree, son of a bitch would shoot. Damn gun was dangerous. And then the 8 gauge was just a single barrel that my grandfather had. It was a cannon, and for a long time we couldn't even find rounds for it. And then my uncle Raymond, who does his own bullets, started doing his own.
Well, the biggest shotgun I personally fired. Now I'm 6'4" and over 200 pounds. I'm like 220 at the time, and I fired a 10 gauge Magnum, 3.5 shell. It doubled on me. It actually lifted me off my feet.
Oh yeah, those are cannons, is what those are.
And yeah, you can fire too big a gun, but Hell, I've shoulder fired a 50 caliber bolt action rifle. That's no big deal.
Mhm.
And doing a semi-auto is the same thing, but you really only do it if people bet you can't, because otherwise you're just burning powder.
Well, I still got the double barrel. It was made in 1911, that one, and then I've got a bolt action 410 that was actually made right before the turn of the last century. Just guns my dad. My dad was born in 1911, so he kept all that stuff, and it was the 410 was a weird design. It was strange. It's hard to explain. It was kind of awkward, and I never had a 410 before that was a bolt action. They were always just, they were either pumps or just automatics. And I mean, a 410 is not all that big of a gun anyway. It's kind of useless.
Well,
But it was a weird
that's what
squirrel
you
gun.
kids with, yeah.
Yeah, that's really what it was. And I've shot some big ass cannons before, but that damn 10 gauge, it was something else. And I mean, we still have it. It's just old and 6-inch stock. I mean, come on. That's not a stock. You might as well not even be putting the damn thing on your shoulder. It had a wicked recoil. Is all I can tell you up here. If y'all ever get to shoot one, you ought to try it, guys. You can shoot one. I've shot some pretty good machine guns. I shot an AK-47, which I actually enjoyed. That damn thing just. A friend of mine said, "Watch." He stuck it in the mud. And I said, "You're gonna blow that gun up?" He said, "No, I'm not." And he just. I was like, "Look at this can." He was shooting it underwater, man. I mean, Jesus Christ. That thing is I don't know. When the Russians built that gun, they weren't playing around. They wanted something that was going to last and hold up. And
It's a truck.
it is a truck. That's what it is. It's people. If you get out in the field, where this gun is a field gun. This gun is made to kill people. That's what it's made to do.
Well, it's made to go off, and it goes into full auto first. If you didn't notice that, you have to put the safety all the way down to get it to go to semi. And you give it to half-trained troops, and they can hit something with it. Plus, the design of the AK is you can give it to someone whose idea of technology is a rock, and in hour and a half, they're shooting the gun.
Oh yeah, that's what it's designed for. I mean, it was a good all the way around built gun, and it still is a good gun today. What do you mean, John? Compared to compared to the M16, no, I'd rather have the AK than the M16. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Well, that's where you're going. If you're out there in the woods, and there's been an awful lot of stories about this, where the guy will pick up an AK because it works better. It also sounds like an AK-47. And all the American guys will go, "Oh, they're over there. Shoot at him."
Yes, shoot it down.
Sound signature, bad thing.
What's that, Raymond? No. A couple of my friends. I wasn't quite old enough to serve NAM. I just missed it by about 5 or 6 years, and quite a few of my friends over there told me they used to get AK-47s.
It depends where you were. If you're going hell behind the lines, yeah, you want to sound like everybody else around you.
And he's got a good point there, because if you were on a front line with your own troops and you're popping off AK-40, you're liable to get shot.
Yep.
You are liable to get shot. Somebody over there with M16 may not see you and just hear the gun and see the flame coming out the end of the gun and just say, "Oh, well, that's definitely the enemy," and pop, and your ass is dead. Just because you were using the wrong gun. It's serious, people. I mean, it was Vietnam was just a complete and utter disaster for everybody involved, but I learned a lot from how screwy a military can get, though.
I have kind of a unique Kalashnikov story, the guy who designed it. And I was being introduced to him with a group of people. We're on a range, and one of the people was a very Navy SEAL. And I'm trying to think of what the hell do you call a SEAL, because Kalashnikov didn't speak English, but his daughter was translating. So I turned to his daughter and say, "Dennis Chalker, American Naval Spetsnazi," which is the Russian version of a SEAL. And Kalashnikov was reaching his hand out to shake hands with Chalker, and I heard this Spetsnazi, and he squeaked and jumped back, and he wouldn't go near the guy. And it turns out the Russians have a tremendous amount of respect for the U.S. Navy SEALs.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. I have a lot of friends in Russia, and they definitely do. That's a matter of fact. We have reporters right now in the Ukraine working for the station, and one of them's actually a Russian. And I was talking to him the other day. He said, I was talking to my commander, and we're all hoping that for some reason, when what did he say? When Trump gets in office, that y'all don't decide to start sending special forces over here to help out the Ukrainians. He said, because he said, Joe, don't take this the wrong way, but our troops can't barely take on the Ukrainians right now. And I'm thinking, no, we're not going to do that, man. I don't think we're going there. But you never know. I hate to tell anybody for sure we're not going there, but we don't need to be any more involved in that mess than we're already involved in it.
I would say you might find instructors in the country surrounding it, but nobody on the front line.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably what you're going to see, and that's probably what we're going to end up seeing over there. Well, Johnny, what's your last name? Where are you from, Johnny? New York City. Well, you don't understand. America cannot really do that because we're already catching shit because we're letting them use our weapons to shoot inside of Russia, which originally wasn't part of the agreement. And just recently, what's his name Lazinski asked if he could start targeting specific things inside of Russia with our missiles. And the Americans are kind of like, whoa, wait a minute now. Yeah, we don't want you using our long-range missiles to blow up infrastructure inside of Russia. We just don't want you doing that. Because really and truly, I mean, it is our weapons after all, and we do know where they can reach. So I'm thinking America wants to go against that. But you know what? I don't know what the guy in charge right now is going to do or say, so I'm just going to have to wait and see what actually happens. It does make me a little nervous, though, Raymond. No, it does make me a little nervous because in the end, it's not up to us. It's up to them. They have possession of the weapons. And we've been giving them good stuff, and not just us. I mean, a lot of other people have been giving them good stuff. It's I don't know what you would call it. I don't really call it a war. I don't know what that is. It's more than Vietnam, but less than Desert Storm.
No, it's an invasion.
Yes. Oh, it's definitely an invasion. I agree with that. Yeah, no, it's definitely an invasion.
In Desert Storm, when I was playing in the woods, that was an invasion, and we threw them out.
Yeah, and we did. Seriously did.
Iraq a little bit and said, okay, we're going to stop now. Don't do it again.
Yeah, we meant don't do it again, people. Well, you can't go blowing up American allies and taking our oil supplies and stuff like that. We're not going to get into that, people. That's just not, it's not going to happen.
Well, to tell you the truth, in war, in combat, you can't really hate the guy on the other side because it'll drive you nuts. But when you go up to an oil field with 400 burning oil wells, and basically it's, okay, fine, let's go into Iraq, find this son of a bitch and kill him because he committed a crime against the planet. When you saw the smoke, it literally went all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, I know. I had friends that were. I've actually had friends in pretty much every war. I've somehow or another I've been lucky, and been in between them. Even though I was asked a couple of times, maybe if I would go, but I was never. I was either too old to be pulled in, or just out of the age range. Well, no, Kirby, like Vietnam. I missed Vietnam by like 6 years, and for some reason, Desert Storm. I had gotten a letter, but nothing that I was over the age. They couldn't just bring me back in. Now, I mean, they can if we're in full out war, but Iraq wasn't considered a full out war for the United States. We just went over there and come on, we had air superiority in like 4 weeks. We had ground superiority in less than 6 months. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Well, in Desert Storm, it was really, I was with the ground troops and we go charging on in there, and it's 4 days and a wake up. What the hell do you mean it's over? Where are we?
Yep. That's how it was. That's how it was.
Someplace in Iraq, sitting in the sand, going, you don't raid somebody's beach party and then camp out in their backyard. What the hell's going on?
It was a strange thing to see the Iraqis who had just kicked the crap out of Iran just surrendering at the way they were. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know weaponry wise everywhere around from the Abrams tanks all the way up to the X-117s. We outgunned them everywhere you went. But you would think, I mean, we're coming in and killing your country. You would think you would at least put up a fight. And really and truly, I didn't see much of a fight there. I got to be honest.
Oh, no. Look at the 12-hour tank battle. That was a 12-hour battle. They came out of their tanks. They started to approach ours because we were coming from the north. And then when we opened fire, they got back in their tanks. The one thing that was only kind of funny, if you were there, we were all looking at the videos of the Iraqis, and they're walking in a circle surrendering to a drone, a little model airplane, basically.
Yeah.
And everybody gets a big laugh out of that. That plane was spotting for the 16-inch cannons on the world's only battleship sitting out in the water. And they had watched the ground erupt when one of those 1-ton shells smacks into it. Hell, I'd surrender to a plane like that too. We had folks surrendering to us, and we're like, no, you got to go over there where those guys are. Surrender to them.
Yes. Can't surrender. Sorry, people, you can't do it. It's not the way the game is played. But
we're not like prisoners.
I mean, it was very interesting to watch. It was a strange thing to watch. Anyway, I mean, the whole war was just strange to watch. I mean, you'd be sitting there watching CNN in a hotel. All of a sudden, here comes a cruise missile.
Yeah,
just cruising on by. You're like. And you see everybody run to the window. Is that one of ours? Of course it was one of ours. They didn't have cruise missile. And you didn't even know where the damn thing was coming from. Was it coming from one of our ships? Was it coming from somewhere else? It's just cruising along.
The very best quote I heard about what the ground war was like, and I'll remember this forever, was General Schwarzkopf was the man. And somebody said, it was like sicking John Wayne on the Iraqis.
Oh, I know. It was. It was the whole thing. In a way, America got to watch it. It was kind of surreal, because we're just sitting here watching it. If America didn't understand what the power was of the United States after that, they had no idea what it was. I mean, we're just laying things to waste, and it was almost in an effortless fashion. It was kind of sad. And then what made it even worse is, I mean, they're using a lot of state of the art Russian equipment, especially their AAA and their anti-aircraft, and we were just mowing over it like it wasn't even there. It was like, no, wait, what was that? No, we're going to blow that up. No, wait, what? We're going to blow that up. What's like watching the Russian tanks with the tops being popped? I mean, how many tanks have they lost now? Hey, Sean, how you doing? We got Sean Hazlett just joined us.
Doing well.
Yeah, he was an ex-tanker, man. He was out there blowing shit up. Well, he wasn't over there blowing shit up.
One thing about an American tanker, we never faced an A-10 shooting at us. And those things...
Frogger. Or Frogfoot. Frogfoot is the Russian version. Sukhoi, 25?
The cannon isn't as good as ours.
Oh, hell no. Not that freaking cannon we got in front of
it. The AU-8 30mm will eat armor. I took pictures of it. And you had one of those fly over your head, and it was like, okay, I got friends. We're fine.
Oh, yeah. I worked on mini A-10s when I was stationed at Alvin Callender.
Yeah, that's the most inspiring thing to see as a tanker, man. One of those things fly over your head.
Yeah, because somebody's about to die. That's what you know. They are bad, and it's amazing how slow they can fly when they need to.
Yeah.
I mean, since I watched them, they're almost hovering, man. They're just coming in, and all you hear is just, and then there's no more. Yeah. You're like, what the fuck is going on, man? I've seen him. I mean, when they used to bring him out to Navy. Used to bring him out. Would steal him from the Air Force, and bring him out to the Fallon. We used to go out to Fallon, Nevada, and have war games. And every now and then they'd bring one out there and they'd have old tanks sitting there. They would cut these things in half like they would nothing. You're sitting there watching this thing going, Jesus Christ, I'm glad they're on our side.
Well, do you know the story about how the A-10 came about and that gun? It's the only time it ever happened in the military, and it's like a perfect evolution. They took the target, a Soviet future tank. They said, here's the shell that will kill that tank. Make the gun that'll fire the shell. Now make the plane that'll carry the gun. And we ended up with a 10, an armored truck full of ammunition, ordnance, and a great big gun.
Great big gun. Well, no, they had tried a different gun at first on those jets. I mean, on those planes. I hate to call them jets. I mean, they are jets, but do you know how many redundant systems are on those freaking things? I mean, there's 3 hydraulic systems on there. 3.
Well,
I have seen them with the wing almost cut off and the damn thing comes in and lands. I'm like, Jesus, look at this. Bullets all down the side, all across the wing, scattered all over, holes in the cockpit. And this guy's still, and he's landed and not even a bad landing. I'm like,
no, that happened. KKNC in northern Saudi Arabia, and the plane had half its tail gone, a quarter of its wings gone, and an engine gone, and it was full of holes, and he landed and walked away from it.
They're
wow.
badass. I mean, the redundant systems on them jets are incredible. And I know that, so the Air Force was going to get rid of them, but the Air Force decided to keep them for another 20 years is what they said.
The Army said, okay, get rid of them.
Yeah, we'll take them. Yeah, we'll take them.
I mean,
yeah, we'll fly them. And the Air Force is like, whoa. I don't know about that.
Who's
no.
on support mission was basically what it got down to. The Marine Corps has its own force. And so the Army said, you get rid of the A-10, we'll take them.
Well, yeah, they're definitely going to take them. I mean, they're badass. Why would you ever get rid of them? What's that, Christopher? No, they are actually retiring the F-16. We were talking about that last night, actually, on the other show. Sean's host with us on News on the Flip Side. And no, they're getting rid of them. This is the end of the upgrades for the F-16. Yes, finally. She's going to retire. Oh, no, we'll sell them to somebody like the Iraqis or somebody, just like we did with the F-4 Phantoms. That's why Iran still flies the F-4 Phantom. Yeah, our jets. And the F-4 Phantom in its time in Vietnam was a badass jet. And today, no.
Well,
today.
They haven't been able to get repair parts for the F-4 since 1978 when the Ayatollah took over, and we won't sell them parts. And out of their Air Force of F-4s, they got maybe 6 of them still flying.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. And you've seen that one where the F-22 flew up underneath him and was just sitting there flying with the guy. And then he came out, pulled out to the side and said, I think you should turn around now, to both of the jets. Neither one of them knew he was there. They had no idea the guy was there. He could have just wiped them off the face of the plane. They had no idea. And I still remember they showed the picture. You could see the Iranian's pilot's face just like as they started to turn around and say, okay, we're going to leave now. Thank you for warning us. Not killing us ahead of time.
You guys have been each other. Now meet the top crew.
Yes, let's. And who was it just recently? One of the Asian worlds asked us if they could buy. They actually asked Lockheed if they would go back into production of the F-22 so they could buy some of them. And for some reason, Lockheed just does not want to build any more F-22s. I don't know why. They quit at 187, and it's far better jet than the F-35 is. So I'm just confused.
They only production capacity.
Yes, they just said for some reason they decided to cut the F-22 and go with the F-35, which is a more expensive jet. It's not as powerful as a jet. It is a little bit more stealthy, but as far as weapon systems, it's basically the same weapon systems in both jets. But the F-22 could be modified to land on a carrier. The F-35 can't be. It's too frail of a shell. There's your
answer right there. There's your answer right there. They can make more money making the F-35. So every F-22 that they make, that's one fewer F-35 they can sell. That's what's
true.
Going on
That's
there.
true. And the F-25 is such a beastie airplane. Of course, now we got that new one coming out, the 6th gen that can go in space and shit. That thing looks like it's going to be ungodly a beast. I can't even see a fighter jet that can go up in space and then come back down on top of you. I mean, you're dead. It's going to be coming in like Mach 12. The bullets ain't even able to keep up with the damn thing. You have to slow down to shoot somebody. I don't. Those kind of jets are scary, scary scenarios there.
Take a look at the pictures of the supposed replacement for the A-10, and it looks like something from a science fiction movie.
I hope it's something beastified, because I mean the A-10 is the best tank killer I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that.
It's got the proper gun, it's got the proper mission, but it's stealthy. It's got all those sharp angles. I mean, it looks cool as hell, but I still lean towards a truck.
Well, I mean, because you can't kill an A-10. I mean, they're hard as hell to kill. I mean, I remember there was at a point they had to do some airframe change, because they after so many hours, one of the airframes had started to break. But the thing is just a beast.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm driving any kind of armored vehicle for America, I want to see them things flying over my head. I want to see them because I know I'm going to run into armor somewhere ahead of me, and if the A-10's there, I won't even have to fire a tank. I won't have to fire around. There won't be no kind of nothing there when I get there. I mean,
we didn't lose one A-10 in combat.
And besides, and most people don't realize that the A-10s actually have fighter support. Actually fighter and ground support. So, I mean, they're well-protected jets.
Well, its primary mission is ground support.
Yeah.
Pilot's sitting inside an armored bathtub. And he's sitting on top of
it.
Yeah.
Titanium bathtub.
Surrounded with ammunition.
It's what's that, Frankie Lee? It's anyway. It's kind of a strange. The whole thing is kind of strange to me. It's just. It was finally a time, we finally built something that was really beastified that nobody can really touch. Even today, what is this thing? 30, 40 years old, 35 years old. It's
70s. The design started.
And even the Russians, when they see one, even the Chinese, when they see one, are kind of like, okay, we don't want to really play with that one if we don't have to. Of course, I was watching the new what was it, J-22 that the Chinese have. So it's supposed to be so stealthy, but it leaves a smoke trail that's like 10 miles long. I'm thinking,
yeah, it looks amazingly like an American design.
Oh, it does. It does. Almost all of that stuff. I mean, look at their carriers. They might as well be one of ours. I mean, they, all those years of doing business with the Chinese, we had business people just selling stuff to them left and right. And that's one of the reasons they've been catching up, but they're still not completely. I mean, our Navy is smaller, but it's still more powerful, and our Air Force is way more powerful.
Well, before we get completely away from the A-10, I'll go back to small arms, kind of.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
At the show we did, I had, dealers and companies would loan us weapons for the display. We had to go through hoops to get all the legalities taken care of. But one of the guns we had once was a bolt-action single-shot rifle that shot the GAU-8 30-millimeter cannon shell.
Jesus Christ.
Pretty much, yeah. The owner asked if I wanted to shoot it, and I said no.
Yeah, maybe if it was on a mount, I ain't putting that thing against my shoulder. I mean, I'd shoot it off of a tripod or something, but...
Nope, it was a tripod. And,
I'm sure it would rack it, but, at least you did take most of the coil.
Well, there was this little thing I learned about called retinal detachment. When too much recoil hits you in the face and your eyes stop working.
The hell with that.
I've grown used to having them. But yeah, we had that thing lying on the floor, and I'm going, oh my God, that's big.
That's
And then
that's
just a freaking cat. So.
What's that? No, Ronnie. Actually, when I got detached, I asked if I could trade in, for sniper school, I asked if I could trade in my M16 for a 30-06. I still remember my commander looking at me. He's like, why? I said, because I want a gun that shoots far and is very accurate and has little recoil. I said, and I can put a 240 grain head on it with about 300 grains of powder and just blow something apart. He said, what are you going to get? I said, I'll get a half mile out of it easy. I said, I might even get 3/4 of a mile with an arc shot. And he's like, what? I said, yeah, they're cannon. I said, they're designed to kill things at long ranges. I mean, we used to go deer hunting with them and kill deer at 500 yards with them. So,
Well,
I got used to them is what it was.
yeah. The last time I was hunting in northwest New Mexico, a friend of mine invited me out, and he knew I could shoot, but I had to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
So he put me on the range with a suppressed 338 Lapua. That was going to be my hunting gun. I had to ding the gong, which I did with one shot at 200 meters, and then at 600 meters, and then at 1,350 meters. And I dinged the gong, and it was like, okay, you can go hunting now.
You can go hunting now. Well, yeah. Then you better have a good scope because you can be shooting further than you can see the damn target.
Oh no, you would not engage an elk at more than 200 yards because if you wounded it, you had to chase that thing.
Yeah, and they're dangerous when they're hurt.
Well, so just oh my God, they're big.
They are big. I killed one, and where were we? Somewhere along the Canadian border. A friend of mine owns, like 5,000 acres up there. And he said, come on, we're going to go elk hunting. We spent one day out getting far enough in the woods to see some real elk, and they had some monster elk out there. And he brought a bunch of people. It was noisy. Most of them couldn't hit a freaking can at 10 feet. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go sit over here while y'all do whatever you want. And I just took off out in the woods for, I don't know, about half a day. And ended up going up a tree. Thought I was going to have to shoot a damn grizzly. Walked up on him. He just turned around and said, oh, shit. And I had a couple of guns. Obviously, I wasn't that scared. But I said, well, let me see if I can get up in this tree. And he'll just go, well, no, bears can climb. So he started climbing the tree. So I shot down so it would scrape the tree in between his self and the tree. And he just looked at me like, oh, shit, I might be dead. Let me get out. And he just left. He was like, oh, shit, I guess this guy could have killed me if he really wanted to.
Well, I was sitting in the high at my friend's ranch. And, I mean, we're all cammied up and everything. Mm-hmm. Shooting partner is big into this. So he was teaching me. And I look, and not 25 feet away is a gray wolf looking at me.
Yes. And hey, look, there's lunch.
No, it just walked up behind a bush and stood there looking at me, making sure that it was like, I see you. And then it walked away. And people are saying, well, weren't you afraid? I had a 338 Lapua laying at my lap.
That's the thing. When you're carrying a gun, you don't have to be as scared. I mean, grizzlies are a beast, and if they come up behind you, they're going to kill you. But it's
they take a lot of killing.
It does. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to explain that to a friend of mine one day. He said, "Oh, I shot a brown bear." I said, "Brown bear is not a grizzly, dude." I said, "You can shoot a grizzly. You better hit him in the heart or in the head." I said, because if not, if he's more than 10 feet from you and hit him once, you're dead. He's going to kill you.
It can be dead and still kill you a lot.
Yeah.
They take convincing. It's like the great buffalo of the bear world.
There's something else. I've been fortunate with that. I had to kill a black bear down in the swamp one time, but only because he was being stubborn and wouldn't leave us alone. He was only like 6 feet. He wasn't even that big. I didn't even kill him because he was just a regular old black bear, which usually leave humans alone. This one, for some reason, somebody must have had some food on him or something. I don't know what it was, but he just wouldn't stop. And he started coming up the tree after my pod, and I was sitting in the next tree, and I shot him through the ribs, trying to hit his heart, and I missed. And he just come down the tree, decided to come up the tree with me. I said, bear, go away. And I pulled the 911 out, and 3 shots to the head. Pop, pop, pop. And there he went. And, we got in all kind of trouble for killing that bear, too. Game warden come unglued on our asses. Wanted to take our gun. I said, dude, he's trying to eat us. What do you want me to do? Oh, bro. I said, dude, look at the tree. I mean, he was trying to eat us, man. I was like, my boy's got it on his phone. I'm like, come on. He's like, well, what did y'all do? I said, as far as I know, we didn't do him anything. I've ran into panthers. You'll be walking through Honey Island or through down in the Chapalaya or even down in the Everglades, and you'll hear this weird, sounds like a woman. It's a panther, and they'll stalk your ass for a while. And they don't always bother you. They just, it's almost like they just want to watch you just walk around. Because I've never had one run up on me where I had to shoot one. Come close one time. And I had to shoot a couple of alligators, mind you, but stupid ass alligators.
Where I grew up in northern Michigan, we have bobcat. They sound like a woman having a real bad time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, we got a few of them around here locally, and I got to watch because I got chihuahuas, so I got to watch when I let them at the house. We got eagles here, ospreys here, big ass hawks, and bobcats. So, and a couple of little coyotes. So
well, Rottweilers on a farm, and I didn't worry too much about anything coming on the farm.
You know, it was funny. I used to have a big chihuahua who passed away. He was like an 18, 20 pounder. For some reason, because he was always jumping in the sky trying to eat the big birds, they just left him alone. I guess they figured, oh, he's crazy. And some bobcat come walking in one day 4 times his size, and he just went after the bobcat. And the bobcat was like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to kill you. And then the bobcat said, wait, I better leave. This dog's trying to bite me. It was the funniest thing I ever seen. The bobcat could have easily killed him. I mean, he could have easily killed him. And he just, for some reason, the dog was so aggressive, he decided to leave. But I've had to kill 2 bobcats. I killed the lynx up in where were we? Somewhere in the heartland somewhere. It's every now and then you just get a cat that just can't help itself and wants to act stupid or crazy. And when we go hunting, well, I don't really hunt anymore, but when we used to hunt, I'd have usually a rifle on me, sometimes 2, because I like my 30-30 Bushmaster. I always did like it. And I brought it everywhere with me. I thought I was the rifleman with that thing. I had one of them little clips welded on it so you could. I love that damn gun. And I had either a 30-06 or a 308 or something with me. And then I always had at least 1 shotgun and 2 pistols always. So, you know, you don't go in the woods unarmed. I mean, when you go into the deep woods, it's not like, you know, hunting on the edge of the woods somewhere. You get in the deep woods, God knows what you're going to run into. And alligators are aggressive sometimes. If they haven't eaten or if the water's been low, they'll come after your ass, especially the big ones, man. You know, 8 foot, 9 footer, they have no qualms chasing you down. And since they can run 25, 30 miles an hour on land, you better shoot them because you're not going to outrun them. You're definitely not going to outswim them. So and what we'd do, I'd shoot them in the head and then we'd skin them and take the skins and open them up and soak them in the water. We would catch crabs by the hampers. They would get on that fat on that side of the skin on that gator, and we would catch them by the hampers. The rest of the meat we would just cut up and put in one of the coolers and bring it back with us because it right now, back then it was selling for, I don't know, $14 a pound or something. So we'd bring it back with us. And or sometimes like Birdman, he liked to cook. We'd get some gator meat out, go find some wild shallots, some wild onions, some other stuff. The guy knew the woods better than anybody. I told him if we ever go to war, I'm coming to live with you. Because, I mean, he knew what mushrooms you could eat. He knew every damn thing, man. He was.
At the show we did at Dragon Con, after the show, I mean, my crew worked their ass off. So we had a barbecue. And the guy asked me, hi, I got 5 pounds of gator. Do you want it? What the hell do I? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Learned how to cook it for us. And so for our barbecue at Dragon Con, we had dragon.
That's good. Yeah, Dragon Con's a lot of fun. I mean, I've been going for the last 4 years, and I usually stop by to see John and then for Right Into the Future. And then I got some other friends there that are doing other stuff there I'll go hang out with. And then a lot of times I'll be working press and I'll go see all the weirdos around because there's a lot to see at Dragon. There's no way you're going to see everything in 4 days. There's just too much to see.
I was weak and because we had set up and tear down. And no, I tended to see the inside of my 2 rooms. But I'm afraid it sounds like you just missed the last armory.
Yeah, it sounds like it did. That sucks. I would have liked to see it because I've always been big in the gun collecting. I mean, I sold the majority of my guns after my son was born, but mainly because I didn't trust a little bastard wouldn't blow his head off with one of them.
Well, when you walked in the room, people had me do this on purpose. We had a Russian Dashaka sitting on its tripod, aiming at the door.
So what is this? What is this cannon, man? I don't know. I mean, I've always enjoyed. Like I said, I collected for a long time. I had a lot of old guns. I finally got rid of most of them, except for the 2 I got that were, one was like I said 1889 and one was 1911. I still have both of those. I've got an original vintage Luger, never out of the case. German Luger, never out of the case. A friend of mine's daddy served and had got it when they had taken Berlin, and kept it. And when he passed, he gave it to his son, and his son, when he passed, gave it to me. And it's still sitting in its case, never been taken. I've never even opened the damn thing. It's just in there. That's I don't want to break the seal on it. I was like, and then I've got a couple of 911s from where were they? I got a Navy one, I got an Army one, I got a Marine one, I got just a regular blue one, and they came in so many colors and styles after in the 80s or something. It's too hard to buy them all. But and then a friend of mine just recently had bought a new one for $1,000, and he called me. He had a for like a year and a half, never shot it even one time. He said, "I'll let you have it for $700." I said, "Well, bring it by the house." I said, "I'll put it in." He said, "It's in the case, got everything it can." I said, "That's fine, just bring it by." I said, "Why don't you take it out and shoot it?" I don't know. I just never did. I said, "Well, I'm going to." I said, "I'm gonna load it up as soon as I can. Go out and shoot the damn thing." I like to know guns work that I own, except for that one Ruger. I like to know things work.
We have 345s in a case, a 1911, a 1911 A1, and then this thing, I think it was called a 2022. It was 245s stuck together.
That's crazy.
It was monstrous. I saw it in a James Bond movie once. Now, I'm not a small guy, and I couldn't hold this thing. It was literally 245 actions built as one piece. Now, the guy from, what was that movie? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah, the big guy, the ex-wrestler and so forth. He used one in a James Bond movie. And it was like, it takes a guy that big to hold the darn thing. So they're actually getting a little ridiculous with some of these. I've handled the 50 A&E Desert Eagle, and it's like, okay, this is just too big. What do you do with it?
I don't know who those are designed for. Some big monster guy. Maybe Sean likes him, Con. Sean was driving a tank blowing shit up, so it's
Well, a friend of mine who was a tanker carried one. And I always thought, okay, that's because you're driving around. You walk around on the ground like a foot soldier. You want something light.
Something like. What did you carry, Sean, when you was in? Because that's what Sean was. He was a tank driver.
We don't. Yeah, Beretta. The Beretta is what the officer would have.
It's 1911. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Standard.
I don't think they're using Berettas anymore, but back
then to a SIG.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went to a SIG. People always say, "Oh, SIG, greatest gun ever." I said, "I own two. I don't think they're the greatest gun ever. I mean, I don't think they're any better than a Glock, to be honest with you."
No, this one's a metal frame. It's a good weapon.
Well, I tell you what I do like. I got a Ruger. I got a Ruger plastic pistol. It's a 45, and it is a beast. I mean, it is a freaking beast, man. It is light as hell. I don't know what this gun was made for. A friend of mine just gave it to me. He used to be a policeman. He carried it when he was a cop. And one day he said, "Here." I said, "What is?" I thought it was fake because it was plastic. He said, "No." He said, this part are all metal. He said, "But all the rest of the gun is a composite." And I'm like, wow. I mean, nothing's going to rust on it. It's already probably 30 years old or 20 years old.
I've got one that's the opposite end of the spectrum you're talking about. I have a Glock. It's a 40 caliber with a steel frame. It's a CCF race frame gun, and all the rest of the parts are Glock. And I would have friends who swore you could put a good trigger on a Glock, and I said, not really, because the frame flexes, even just a little tiny bit. And they said, "What do you mean? Here, shoot mine." Oh, because it's a steel frame. You can't get them anymore. But I worked for the company for a while for some research.
What I'd like to see is some of these newer guns come with real safeties on them. I mean, I got a Glock that's got a trigger safety on. I got a Canik that's got a trigger safety on it, and I got a Sig that's got. They all suck. That's not a real safety. What the hell does that do? If you even touch it, it goes off. I mean, I don't know what the hell. It's not a real safety. That's bullshit.
Many of them will make a variant of the model with a secondary safety, a mechanical safety.
See, that's one of the things I like about the 1911 because you got the hammer. So if the hammer's not cocked, you don't even have to worry. And it's got a side safety. It's got two safeties actually. So it's I don't.
No, it's actually got three.
Does it? I don't even never paid attention. I just the side safety and the back safety. Someone's ever worried about.
No, you look at it. It's got the grip safety. It's got the thumb safety, which you can only put on if the hammer's cocked. And there's a half cock notch. So if you're cocking the hammer and it gets away from you, it catches it. Those are things. Well, you probably a hammer slip.
Well, no, not usually. I don't. So it's it's strange the way how many people buy a gun and have no idea what they bought. And then
the 45, the 1911, the classic, was developed by Browning for the cavalry. That's what they wanted. And it was so that you could reload it on horseback. That's the big bit about the magazine. And the half cock notch was so that you're riding a horse so you don't shoot yourself in the leg by cocking the gun wrong.
Frank, most of the military carried 45s, not 9mm, mainly just because they had more knockdown power than a 9mm. But they have been converting a lot of their guns to 9mm now. I would prefer 45. I mean, when I go for competition, I bring my 9mm because it's so much more accurate, so much easier to shoot. But and the Canik was designed. It's actually a competition pistol, is what it is.
Well, there's still Spec Ops units, MARSOC in the Marine Corps. They still have 1911s. Something about it's a big bullet.
It's a big bullet. That's what it is. Hold on, let me see. I might have it. Let me go see if I got it right quick. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. I might have it out still. I don't know if I put it up right now.
I don't have a camera. We're supposed to be showing off guns.
I wouldn't recommend it, but I think Joe will. I think Joe will show it. So it's his call.
No.
Although Joe, if this is on YouTube, I don't know if you want to show that.
Oh, I've shown this before, but this ain't the one. This is the. This one actually. This is Martha. Martha's usually right here. Actually, she usually sits right here doing the show. When I bought this gun, by the way, and I thought this was a 45. That's why I bought it. So stupid me never looked. Of course, this is a 9mm. It comes with a 21 round clip standard. That's what it comes with. And I was telling your boy earlier, the way it's designed, it's heavy in the front. So
have you cleared that gun?
Do what, babe?
I saw there were rounds in the magazine. Have you cleared the gun?
Yeah, well, I don't keep them in when at home. There's nothing chambered, mainly because the grandkids come over sometimes. I don't want them blowing their brains out. And this one, of course, has got it lets you know if it's loaded or not. It says a little red button on the back of it. But I don't personally like them because, I mean, I really like this one because it's great. It's a great target pistol. But that's really what it's designed for. I mean, if you get in a combat with it, I'm sure it'll be fine because it holds so many rounds. And it is very accurate. It does come standard when it's the case. It comes with 3 triggers. It's a 3-pound, 5-pound, and I think a 6-pound trigger. This one has a 3-pound trigger on it because I use it for competition. And I was trying to explain to a guy the other day, he was doing this. He's at the range going. I'm like, what are you doing? I said, you're never going to hit anything. He's like, well, I said, you can't do like that with your gun. I mean, he's literally doing like this with it. I'm like, no, dude. I said, put the gun out there. I said, you don't need to hold it with 2 hands. I said, you can if you want, but you don't need to. I said, you should be able to control your gun with 1 hand. I said, put that gun I said, "You see, mine's just tilted down just a little bit." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because watch." I said, "Watch." So I just barely moved the trigger, pow, and the gun raised up about a half inch and went right through the target in the center. He's like, "How do you do that?" I said, "Because I know my gun." I said, "That's what this gun's designed for." I said, "In your case, you just need to put yours straight because your gun is light." And I said, "Gently squeeze the trigger. Don't fucking just boom with the trigger because it ain't going to hit nothing." And I watched him for about a half an hour. Finally, after half an hour, he finally got one bullet. And I'm not talking through the red zone. I'm talking through the target. He finally got one bullet through the target. So I walked up behind him with mine and went, pop, 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 pop. He said, "They're all going through the red." I said, "Yeah, I keep going through the red too." I said, "Give me your gun." I said, "I've never shot your gun before. Let me shoot it." Pop, pop, pop. I said, "Well, it goes right through the red. Easy. It's a good shooting gun." He's like, I'm not going to say what he said, but it wasn't pleasant. I'm like, dude, I said, learn, if you're going to own a gun, learn what your gun is, learn how to shoot it, learn how to take it apart and clean it. I said, and if you're going to take your gun apart, go on YouTube, go to somewhere. See, like they could go to your website, go somewhere where it's been broke down and you can see it broke down and put back together and take it back down.
Okay.
Said,
a minor error with my website. The one thing I have been told, and we do not do, is nothing on the website tells you how to work the weapon. If
that's probably a good thing.
Learn about it, fine. But as far as picking it up and shooting it, that's not my purpose.
No, and it shouldn't be. You from what I see on your website is this is the gun. This is all the parts of the gun. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like together. This is what it looks like apart. This is from what I've seen, you have every nut, bolt, screw, spring, and everything laid out.
Only on a couple of them, but yes, we try to do it as completely as possible.
So that's a good thing for people who are buying guns and trying to understand guns. I mean, this one's a straightforward, pops, the top comes right off, pop, 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 piece comes off. I mean, in 5 pieces basically. But there's no reason to do it unless you're just doing a serious cleaning. And I keep it well oiled and well cleaned all the time, when I get a chance. Now, if you ever see my silver 380, you would laugh your ass off. It's sitting in a hole in the back of my seat in my car. Probably been back there for a decade. God knows a damn. Matter of fact, last time I shot it, I found out that the spring and the clip was bad. It would only push one bullet out. That was all it would push. So I went to go get a new clip, right? Go ahead. What you said?
The average spring in a magazine does not set. What you're talking about is taking a set. Usually what happens is the rounds literally start sticking to the side of the magazine because they're different metals. And the reason I say the spring doesn't take a set, I have handled weapons that are 300 years old. I've done flintlocks. We started these stories with that.
Yeah.
Well, that spring has been set for over 300 years, and it still works.
I don't know on this particular, because I gave my stepson one of them, and then my son gave me one, so that's why I got 2 of them now. What it looked like on this one, because it had I don't think it had been fired in a decade. It looked like the coil in there just had smashed down to the point where when it came back up, it didn't quite have the push power to get the bullets out.
Well, you had a bad spring.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. So I went looking for this clip. Well, this was a silver 380, a special edition. The clips are nowhere to be found. So for the other 380s from the same company that look just like it but are black, it's a different clip that goes into it. So the holding piece on those clips are a lock on the bottom. On this clip, it locks on the side. And so I'm either gonna have to make them myself, and just because the other clips will fit in there, they just won't hold. I guess I'm just gonna have to go get a grinder and notch them out and use those, because I can't find them made like that anywhere. Nobody makes them anymore.
Well,
it's like a bitch, man.
I did something with a magazine simply by accident, which kind of I use to prove my point about they don't take a set. I was putting away some web gear from the 70s, and I found a loaded 20-round mag in my pouches. It had been loaded for 45 years. I took it out and shot it.
Well, all my other guns were fine. I mean, I've had other guns because I leave my guns loaded. I mean, I fill the clips up, stick them in there, and leave them there in case I ever need them for something. And most of them I've never had a problem. It's just this one gun. It just what was that, John? No, this one you're talking about? No, okay, Frankie G and Johnny G. This one, whatever you do, if you buy it new, don't go get the 120s. It's not going to shoot them. It's going to jam them up. The gun is so tight from the manufacturer that you have to have a heavier powder for it to kick them out. So I think on this one, I'm shooting 137s, 147, something like that. I got two different sizes, but the small ones, the grain-wise small ones, it just won't kick the shell all the way out. It just doesn't. Yeah, I mean, I'll shoot 200-300 out of it. Eventually, it'll wear it out enough that it'll shoot them out of there. But the light ones, I think it's 120 or 114, something like that. It won't kick them out. Now I can rotate them, put a light, put a heavy, put a light, put a heavy, and it'll kick them out. But if I'm just shooting a light one, the target rounds, which I think are 114 or 120, it won't kick them out. It's like nope. It's like nope. But as soon as I go to the higher grain, it kicks them out, no problem at all. It's which also gives you more knockdown power, more killing power as well too. What's the biggest thing I've ever killed with a pistol? A deer. Yes. I killed the deer with a 44 Actually, I killed a deer with a 44 Eagle Magnum. Yes.
Well, my deer pistol is a single shot 45-70.
That's a
tender. Yeah. Well, I'm in Michigan. I'm in the woods, and I just stuck it under my coat, kept it warm, and we're hunting on snow. But guys are what? You're hunting it with a handgun? Yeah, but it's kind of a big round.
Yeah, it's a big round. Yeah, with a big round, you can do it. I mean, it's that's why I was telling Franklin. He said, I said, a 44 Magnum blow a big hole in anything, man. I don't give a shit what it is.
Well,
especially with a heavy grain in it. I mean, because I have a tendency on all my weapons actually to go with a heavier grain bullet when I can get them. I used to do my own, but I just don't have the time anymore to load my own bullets. But I'll tend to go with whatever the mid-range to high-range bullet is. The low-range bullets just never do it for me because, we like to go blow shit up, shoot up cars and stuff and go out to the swamp and just blow up big oak trees and stuff and, old abandoned crappy cars and boats and stuff. Matter of fact, we wanted to see one day if we could sink a boat. So we stood in the boat looking down, and I had a 9mm 45 and I emptied both clips. Frank had a 12 gauge empty. The clip, this freaking boat wouldn't sink. Mm-hmm. It was a Boston whaler made out of foam. That's why it wouldn't sink. You could have blown an old boat apart, it still would have floated. I was like, look at this shit, man. And it was too funny because you're standing there watching the water come in and the boat just won't sink. You're like, big old 200 horsepower engine in the bag. Nope, it wouldn't sink for nothing. I was like, well, look at this, man. And but Sean shots are big. What was the size on your tank, baby? What were you shooting off that thing?
120 millimeters.
Jesus Christ! See, that's a tank. That's a freaking
round.
It's about what's that?
A 120 smoothbore.
Yeah, 120 millimeter smoothbore. Yeah.
That arrowhead round is hauling ass when it comes out of there.
Yeah, Sabo will
shooter.
I wanted to ask you that before.
Like a dart.
So did they give you different heads for these rounds? I mean, are they like different? Because I've always wondered about that. We've talked about you driving before and being in them, but I've always wondered, do you have like a flame round, explosive round, just a solid hunk of lead round?
So the two primary ones that we used were heat rounds, which is high explosive anti-tank. You use that against like armored personnel carriers, stuff like that. And against other tanks, you would use a Sabo round, which is just a high kinetic.
Have you seen the 120 smoothbore canister round?
Oh, are you talking about the Beehive?
No, the Beehive is usually the darts. This one, I saw it at AUSA, and they had a cutaway. Picture you're shooting a coffee can full of ball bearings.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we definitely never shot those. I don't even know if is that even legal? Like, can we even shoot those at people?
They needed a close-in defense round. And the mentioned you can't shoot at personnel with them. And
I guess not. I mean, Jesus.
Well, you get a guy with an RPG, he can be close. This cannon is unreal. They had films of it being fired. But yeah, I described it to people. It's a coffee can full of steel marbles.
What kind of machine guns were y'all carrying on that tank?
So the commander had a 50 cal. The loader had a M240 Bravo, which is like I'm trying to remember the rounds. 7.62.
As the M60.
Yeah, it replaced the M60, and then the Bravo is the I think the tank version of it. Yep. And then what else? Yeah, those are the two. And then there's a coaxial machine gun, which is also an M240. So that's just, right along the main gun, there's another little machine gun hole that the gunner can use. So the loader's got a weapon, the tank commander's got a weapon, and the gunner has effectively 2 weapons.
That's a good thing. Gunner needs a weapon. You never know what kind of idiots running around out there.
Well,
what's that, Frank? So Frank's been just. I know, Frank, you like guns too, just like the rest of us. So he was asking though, what's this? What kind of tank were you in? Well, you don't even know what kind of tank he was in. How can you ask him what kind of impact it can take? He might have been in one of those raggedy ass tanks that you throw a snowball at and the damn thing breaks or something. You don't know what kind of tank he was in. You just assuming he was in the Avery. That's what you just assuming that. But we're asking Sean what kind of tank he was in. What kind of tank was you in, Sean?
Yeah, so it depends. So when I was going to the range and all the rounds that I just discussed, that was the M1A1 Abrams at the time. And then, but we also trained. So I was in the Fort Irwin at the National Training Center. So for training missions, when we were just playing laser tag in the desert, we were the last unit, I think, in the U.S. military to use the old Sheridan kind of light tanks. And we just used those so that they looked like
enemy.
They didn't look. Yeah. And we would visually modify them, right? We would put like little fiberglass and plastic on them that made them look like T-80 tanks, basically.
Well, do you have any idea how strong an M1A1 is?
Well, it's got depleted uranium. It's got like a
super duper armor. Well,
the Chobham armor, right?
One
ceramic mixed with some sort of depleted uranium. Yeah.
Well, we had one in Storm. It hit a 500-pound bomb IED with its left front tread, and it peeled it open. The driver was fine. He was. I mean, it was help this poor boy walk for a while, but he was fine, and it hit a bomb.
I seen him in Desert Storm just getting pounded by air fire or other tanks, and they just rolling along like it ain't shit.
Uh-huh.
I was actually the first tank battle I remember seeing in Desert Storm. There were a bunch of tanks. I think the M1s were outnumbered like 3-1, 4-1. And they didn't even slow. That was what fucking killed me. They didn't. First off, they firing on the run, which is fabulous. Anytime you see a tank on the run and it's firing and it's hitting shit, that's serious technology. And these tanks are just rolling along. You're watching bullets bounce up, and you're watching the shells bounce off of them. And all of a sudden, you'd start seeing tanks exploding because they had longer range. And then, you'd see another brigade come up, and then finally, it was about the third or fourth group that came up to attack the M1s. They stopped and got white flags and got out their tanks.
Well,
but it was funny. There was a squadron of A-10s coming. They must have known they were coming. So they figured between the M1s and the A-10s, maybe they should surrender. And it was the funniest thing I ever seen. I mean, I've never seen. There was like 50 tanks there. They just got out of them and started swinging the flags. I was like,
well, Sean, probably know what it would have been like for a crew. You've been training forever.
Mm-hmm.
They put you out in the desert and they give you bullets and they say, here, go shoot the bad guys.
Oh, yeah, let me go shoot the bad guys.
You don't have to bring any of them home. We have more on the trucks, the ammunition.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was crazy to watch these guys. Tankers are a little crazier than the rest of the people because they're in the nitty gritty. Pilots are a little different. They got they're in air and they usually have some kind of air support with them.
I don't know. I don't like driving around in a foxhole that big.
I know it is basically what it is, an armored foxhole. What's that, Christopher? All three of you, no, all of us have been in the service. Yeah, all three of us have been in the service. Yeah. A good chunk of the members on this network have served. Yes, not everybody has served, but a bunch of us have served.
Well, you talk about those
branch.
Some of those battles, Joe. So like H.R. McMaster, you know who he is, right? The general who served the National Security Advisor under Trump. He was one of the company commanders who participated in the Battle 73 Easting. Have you heard about that?
I don't know. Tell me. Once
you
say it, I might remember.
It was a troop of like armor on our side, right? So I think at the time that was probably roughly a platoon would have been. Wow, it's been a while, but the platoon about roughly 16 tanks, call it. Okay, and they faced a Republican Guard division.
Okay, right? At the 12-hour tank battle where I was, it's the same fight. And
was it?
Yeah, it's the 12-hour tank battle is the common name.
Yeah, it was. They were outnumbered, but they had the jump on these guys, and I think there was a few. There's probably a squadron worth of tanks ultimately, but H.R. McMaster's troop destroyed an Iraqi division, like an elite Iraqi division.
Yeah, that was happening a lot. Yeah, it was. I know who was it? Norman said that one of our tanks is equivalent to 8 of theirs, and I still remember the Russian saying, "Oh no, it's 1-to-1." And I'm thinking, from what I seen, it wasn't 1-to-1. From what I seen, it was maybe 10-to-1. They were just getting wiped out, man. I mean, it was. I seen a couple of different tank battles, and it was just. And then I seen and I did see a light infantry group get into it with a group of tanks.
Oh yeah, they had Bradleys with the tow missiles. Yeah, that's that's bravery right there, because your armor's not as good.
No way. I mean, you got shitty, but they were still out there doing it. I was like, okay. And then of course, you never knew what else was going on because, like I said, you'd be seeing it in cruise missiles. We'd be going by to where you don't know where the hell they were going.
Well, I mean, they had access to Apaches, and I'm sure
they had a lot of good. Well, I seen a squadron of F-117s go in and bomb the shit out of some tanks, and then we found out that the tanks were empty because apparently the tankers from the Saudis, from the Iraqis, knew they were coming and hauled ass. They couldn't get away in their tanks. The jets were too fast, and I was surprised to see them dispatch the F-117s. I mean, you can use F-117s as bombers, but I was still surprised to see that. That seemed like the A-10's job. Send the A-10 in there. If we had plenty of them over there.
At the end of the day, probably most of their strategic targets were used up, so they had spare capacity. And if you have spare capacity, it's like use them. Yeah, use them on the ground. Right.
Save our troops.
Yeah. We don't back this ordnance and ship it back home, so just fire it up.
Yeah.
It was watching that, really put a difference for the whole world that realized, holy shit, when America's not playing, they will kick your ass in a heartbeat. I mean, air superiority wasn't nothing. We took it over with no problem whatsoever. And then next thing you know, we've got not just our jets, we're flying Saudis from 7 countries, 8 countries. I mean, they never heard a prayer. And the Iraqis should have surrendered the first month.
Our military never loses wars. Our politicians do.
Yeah, that's a true statement there.
That's the problem.
Well, I heard Xi Jinping the other day talking about he would never want to get into a conflict with the United States. He said we should be trading partners, not war partners. And some retired general in the UK said, yeah, because you're going to get your ass kicked. He said, we don't care how many jets. He said, look, America wasn't scared of the Soviet Union when they were outnumbered 5-1. And he said, it's not, he said, in personnel and in material. He said, the U.S. builds quality stuff. And I did see this. I don't know how this is going to work. So they've got a B-50, not B-52, B-2 with a mini, whatchamacallit on the bottom of it, oh, how you call them? The ones that were on the Zimwalts, the
Oh,
rail guns. They got a mini rail gun on it.
on an Air Force weapon?
On a
On an Air
B2.
Force?
It was just only one of them, and it's a mini rail gun. I'm like, what is this for? And how can it be used? Is it in the way of the loading bay or the bombing bay? I mean, I don't even know what this is for. It wasn't attached to a wing; it was attached to the bottom of the aircraft.
Yeah,
Looked at it just the other day. I'm thinking
Maybe it's to shoot down ballistic missiles or something. Who knows?
maybe so. I don't know. It's badass. The Navy has decided they're going to probably put all the guns back on the Zimwalt class destroyers. They're even thinking about adding one to the two Ford class aircraft carriers.
okay,
Because,
your rail gun on the bottom of the jet,
yeah,
the bomb bay. The bomb bay is full of the power supply. Those things energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what it does. I mean, I would like to see because I mean, I watched the Zimwalt go out to what was it? Not Bikini Island, Christmas Island, and cut World War II ships in half like they were butter. I mean, you see dunk, 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 and then you see the ship do. I mean, it wasn't even any loud explosions. There was no loud fire noise. There was no loud explosion. It was like it really looked because it would come out, go in one side, come out. If matter of fact, if there were ships lined up, the bitch would probably go through 3 or 4 ships. It's just it's badass. I don't care how much the bullets cost in it. I mean, if you're going into a Navy battle, you want them because close in range, you're going to tear the shit out of anything around you. I have no idea why the Navy decided to take them off the Zimwalts, and then they can't. They're putting them back. They're taking them off. They're putting them back. They're taking them off. Now they got a bigger caliber for one. So I'm like, what? Just put the damn things on there and leave them on. If you don't use them, fine. You got other missiles. You got other guns on there. Just leave them on there. You still can use your other guns. And the Zimwalt class also have new. They have the new lasers on them, and they also have the new. Not ultrasonic. What the hell they call them? They're a microwave, basically, is what they are. So they're for taking out drones, is what they're used for. They put out an area of like 300 yards around the ship, and any drone coming in just turns off and falls out the sky. So I mean, our Navy's getting serious, but there's so few of those kind of ships right now. I mean, I notice more and more of our ships are getting lasers on them. I guess that's for the hypersonic missiles. But honestly, I can't see why a phalanx won't take out a hypersonic missile.
It has to get so close, and you have zero time left.
Well, that's true. They got to get pretty close. I mean, the phalanx is only good for I don't know, 700 yards, 1,000 yards. I forget what it is. It might be a little more than that, maybe a quarter mile. But
Yeah,
it's
you
not
have
a
like
long range.
yards, but a hypersonic will cross 1,500 yards in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah. So I mean, at Mach 6, it's cruising on Mach 5, Mach 6. But those bullets are also traveling at Mach 5, Mach 6. So
Right. You have to slew the gun around to point at it.
yeah. So well, like the carrier has, I think, 5 of them on board, so they can shoot from different angles at it. But
Oh, sure.
but I would think that the Navy would probably use its own hypersonic to knock a hypersonic, as long as they got it on radar. But the Russians supposed to have a stealth hypersonic missile. That's some shit there. That's some shit. We're gonna have to figure out a way to look at that thing. We don't want no stealth hypersonic missiles anywhere around any of our ships. But I have watched. I am impressed with the Navy in the Red Sea dealing with the drones, and I think they've shot down over 2,000 drones now. Well, we've watched the Ukrainians wreak havoc on drones on the Black Sea ships all over Russia. So they can be used, but if you have the right equipment to deter them, they're not as useful as they look. Russia just hasn't developed that kind of equipment yet.
Well, the Ukrainian, I saw this and it was just an amazing weapon. They took a drone, you could buy it, a hobby
Yep.
shop, and they made it drop thermobaric grenades.
Yeah.
And it would blow the whole damn tank up.
Oh yeah, they were popping tops off them all over the place with them drones. They had some drones that were just a charge itself; they would fly into it. They had some that just would drop charges, and they were. I mean, Russia's lost. I seen it the other day. They have lost so much equipment. I don't know if they could sustain a real war. I mean, they've lost 500,000 people and all kinds of tanks, planes, boats. It's a ridiculous amount of equipment. We haven't. If you combined all the wars we fought all the way to World War II, we have not lost that equipment. You'd have to go to World War II to see us have lost that much equipment.
Well, if you want a perfect example of how bad the Russians have it, they're buying ammunition from North Korea.
Oh, you heard about that too, right? So half the ammunition they bought doesn't fire. And yesterday they bought a whole trainload, and somehow or another, somebody blew up the train.
Amazing that. But then again, it's North Korean ammo. Maybe it blew itself up.
It might have, and you know what? I don't want to rule that out. It may have blew up itself. Well, look at North Korea sending all them guys in to die to try to find out where the minefields were between them and the DNC, between them and South Korea. I mean, really, they have minesweepers for that, you morons. Build one, or build the tank with a grade on the front of it and pull them up and let them blow up in front of you. I mean, what you just got to wonder sometimes when you see shit like that. But Russia's in trouble. You know, I like Vladimir. I'm not going to lie. I've always thought he's a real asshole kind of guy, and he's the kind of guy, you know, and I thought he might decide to do something good with Russia, but this Ukrainian shit's just making him, he's losing face everywhere. If it wouldn't be for the Chinese, nobody would even talk to him except for Kim Jong-un.
He has one way of dealing with a problem.
Yes. Let me beat my head against it. Yes, he's very dogmatic in his view. And Donald Trump said that he'll end the war quickly, and Donald Trump probably would. I know what Donald's going to do. He's not going to call Russia. He's going to call China. He's going to say, you want to start getting trade from us again? Make Russia give back the territory and stop the war. If not, we're going to start sanctioning you because you're giving stuff to Russia. And China can't take any more sanctions. China's already in deep shit. They were supposed to pass our economy with 33 trillion this year. They're going to be lucky to make 11 trillion this year. So they're in deep shit. And that's thanks to last time Trump was in sanctioning the hell. And there's a lot more we can sanction. And Europe can say we can actually, if we really wanted to, we could send China back to being a third world country. And China knows that. So why team up with Russia? And then there's this stupid shit. Let's start our own money. Okay, Saudi Arabia, you don't want to use American money anymore. Go use that Chinese and Russian money that's not worth anything. I'm still confused about that. And China, I'm thinking, China, you may have kicked your own self in the ass here with this move. Your money's not going to be worth anytime soon, especially if everybody starts sanctioning. The only people you can trade with is Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba, and Russia. I mean, that's no trade. That's starving to death is what that is.
We can always buy more ammo from North Korea.
Ammo from North Korea. I mean, I understand Putin. So Putin's getting drones from Iran, which now are getting thin because Hamas, come to find out, Iran thinks Hamas is a bigger, needs more support than Russia does. So a lot of their drones now are going to Hamas. And the Israelis, somehow or another, the Israelis are keeping pace. And now I see the Palestinians are getting mad at Hamas instead of Israel finally. So we'll see how this all works out. I mean, this has all got a long ways to play out. But with a new president, we'll see different things because, well, Sleepy Joe don't even know what's going on. He's has no idea what's going on. What's that, Chris? I don't hate Joe Biden. He's just somewhere else.
Let's not go there.
He's a nice guy and all. He's a friendly guy. He's just anyway. Y'all can catch us on Friday nights. That's what Friday nights are for. You know what? Mm-hmm. Go listen to last night's show. You'll find out what we think about all of that, and you'll find all the latest polls going across the board, including Michelle Obama and all the whole bunch of them. Yeah, all his supposable replacements. We had polls on all of them. Go listen for yourself. It was a good show. It's Sean and I and Jay was with us. So you can go check it out. It's a nice, peaceful, quiet night with lots of news and lots of polls. Yeah, it's news on the flip side. That's what for. This is really about authors. We didn't even get to talk about Sean's what's going on in his life because we got all up in this stuff because we got to get out of here in a few minutes. But actually, Kevin and I had a blast. By the way, I know Sean because Sean's like me; he likes blowing shit up. So it's what's like Christopher. We all like to blow shit up. We're Americans. That's what Americans do is blow shit up. I mean, look at the 4th of July, people. We just spent a whole day blowing shit up. I'm just saying.
One day?
Well, we're just saying. We're just using that one day.
Kevin, did they ever send you to SPLC, Scout Platoon Leaders Course?
No.
Yeah, that's where they train you explicitly how to blow shit up.
I have seconded 2 demolitions and have spent my time there, but sappers have my respect, big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's.
I can set off a fire. I was taught never work with a charge small enough to injure you. Always work with one big enough that you won't know you screwed up.
You're dead.
Right.
It's Frankie, you mean when I was at Fallon? I did. I did get to drop some bombs and blow some shit up. I was I was attached to a F-18 squadron and an A-72 Corsair squadron, which is basically just a bomber, is what it is. It's subsonic. It don't even go fast. Oh no, they carry big ass payload. We were blowing shit up. So the pilots always had the same rule: if you're working on my jet, you're going to fly in my jet. If you don't want to fly in my jet, I don't want to fly in my jet. I'm serious. That was their rule. And so every now and then they would bring us in. So one of the days at Bomb and Derby, we all got to go in. All the techs got to go in and target shit up and blow shit up. And I was pretty good at blowing shit up, I got to say. It was a lot of fun. And then I got to fly an F-18 Hornet and blow some shit up. Actually, my funnest thing I did on any pilot plane I was ever in is the F-18 pilot came in at 250 feet off the ground, and I got to use the Gatling gun. Oh man, I was just blowing some shit up, man. I wish they would have recorded that. That was years and years ago, but I wish that was some shit, man. I would not want to get in front of that gun. It's not as bad as the A-10s though, by any means. It was about half as powerful.
No, it's a 20 millimeter as compared to a 30.
No, they're all air cooled. One gun on one of the Navy jets is actually liquid cooled, but all the rest of them are air cooled. I don't remember which one it was. It's so long ago. Actually, I think it was on an A6 Intruder. It was liquid cool, but don't hold me, but I'd have to go look. I got to fly in the F-14, but they were phasing out the F-14s when I came in. Yes, they phased out the F-14s, and the F-18s were coming in. Yes. Yeah, so the Tomcat, Bruce Herbing was a friend of mine. He's one of the pilots, and we made a bet about going ballistic in one of them. So most people don't realize most of our jets can't go ballistic. The F-22 can, by the way. But so the F-14 Phantom, the F-14 Tomcat, what it did was it would start going up, and as it started going up, it had inside the plane, it had these 2 levers that you could roll, and it would bring the wings in all the way up against the plane. So it was more like a missile. And that bitch would not stall. It'd go into space if you wanted it to. It just couldn't get back down. It would be screwed. At the time, it was the only jet that could fly vertical. And today, as far as I know, the only 2 jets that can fly vertical is the F-14 and the F-22. F-35 has a stall speed. So does the J-22, and Russia's, what is it? Is it the 57? Also has a stall speed. All that means is when they get to a certain height and a certain pitch, the engines will stall out and they'll fall back to earth. If they don't come down on their own, they'll fall back. The engines will actually turn off. Yeah, because they don't have the push to push them any higher. And with the Tomcat, it wasn't so much that the engines had the more push. It had the same engines as F-15, really. It's just the way the wings worked. Well, because on the Navy, the wings fold over, but they also fold in, so they have more room to put more jets on the decks. That's how they were made. Now the F-18s just fold over. They're badass too, but they're still not like the F-22 or the F-35 now. F-18, well, I would put it against just about any plane on the planet except for the F-22 or the F-35. I wouldn't. Well, no, there's some other good jets out there. We were talking about them last night. We were talking about the military up in the Scandinavian countries, how they don't use airports or Air Force bases. They put their jets in different places, 1 or 2 here, 1 or 2 there, 1 or 2 here. Yeah, it makes it where the Russians can't just come in and blow the shit out of them.
They learned the Germans in World War II.
Or just like we learned in
you park them in the side of a mountain and you use the road as a runway.
Right, and they use the road as a runway. That's how they do it. And well, we learned the same thing at Pearl Harbor. See, when the Navy comes in now, I still remember the first time we ever ported the ship. We sent jets everywhere, and they didn't go to one Air Force base. No, they never stayed on board the carrier ever, and they didn't go to just one Air Force base or Navy base. They were deployed to different Navy bases and to Air Force bases. They spread them bitches out all over the place. Oh no. Pearl Harbor taught us a lesson. Don't put all your nuts in one shell, buddy, because you're gonna you're gonna get the crap blown out of you. Any questions? We got to go, guys. I mean, Kevin, give me your website right quick, man, so they know where to find you at.
It's dockeryarmory.com. That's DOCKERYARMORY.com.
Yes.
And there's a little magnifying glass there. You can ask it a question and it will show you the gun, or you can just go through the lists over and over and over again. We're 350 hand grenades when we get them all up there.
Damn. What is that, Frank? Oh no, John left. This isn't the kind of show John wants to be part of. No. No. He's not mad or anything. Just this is. No, on the Author's Quill, we usually just talk about authors and books and stuff, which we should have been doing, but we got into this conversation, which I love these kind of conversations. So, Sean and I talk about blowing shit up all the time.
I have written a couple of books. I mean, that's
you can put them out right quick because I'm gonna make Sean give a list of his books before we leave in a few minutes. So, why don't you give him a quick list of books, and I'll let Sean do it, and then we'll get out of here because I smell food.
Dockery on Amazon, and you'll have all my books lined up. I've done 40 written or contributed to.
Yeah, y'all go, guys, go. And if y'all want to know more about this subject stuff we've been talking about, go check it out. Who's Sean? No, Sean writes the right books about not just blowing up shit. He wants to blow up the whole damn planet. Yes, we got to watch him, man. We got to keep an eye on this guy. He's going to start World War IV. Yeah, after World War III. So what you got? 3, 4, right? 3, 4?
3, well, a little bit more than 4. I mean, I have like a novella.
I just talking about the ones blowing up the planet is what I was talking about.
3. So there's Weird World War III, Weird World War IV, Weird World War China.
Yeah. Yes, people, he's blowing up the damn planet. Well, not literally blowing up the planet, but go read them and find out for yourself.
And they're all anthologies. So I edited 3 anthologies, and they're all about what if the United States had gone to war with Russia? What were the and there was kind of weird paranormal fictional characteristics. Of course, that came out in October 2020, and then about 18 months later, Putin invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, well, we don't want China invading the United States, people. They're not gonna like the bayou, is all I can tell you. It's no. Alligators eat Chinese people. The Japanese will tell you.
I believe a Japanese officer said you can't invade the mainland United States. There will be a rifle behind every blade of grass.
Pretty much. Currently, there's 480 million guns in the United States, not including the armories that the National Guard would open up if someone was trying to invade our country. So not only would you have to fight the regular military, but you'd have to fight everybody in this. This is not a country that's going to be taken easily. You're going to have to take it person by person by person by person. And
there's also 20 million veterans too. Don't forget that.
So, we're the only country that's been at war for 50 years.
Are you suggesting there might be some good old boys down in the South that go, they're here, finally?
Yes, pretty much. That's what they're going to be saying too. They'll be sicking their pet alligators on you, man. I mean, it's just you couldn't even bomb them out the swamp because you wouldn't know where to bomb. And probably they would have rocket launchers anyway. So if your stupid plane got that close, they'd shoot you out the sky. I know most of y'all saw, what were they when
Deliverance?
No, not the Deliverance. That's a pretty good, but that was up north though, man. That went down south. That was like in the Carolinas or something. But anyway,
if you want
Red Dawn, I know y'all saw Red Dawn. So there was the first Red Dawn and there was the second Red Dawn. That's pretty much how it would be, people. We're not giving up nothing. And even if you manage to take territory, we're not going to stop trying to kill you until we're all dead. You'll have to kill all 400 million of us. I'm just telling you ahead of time.
Probably heard some people say, like a president or two, no, you can't rebel against the United States. You don't have F-16s. Oh, you mean like Kong and the NBA?
Yeah.
It's what's that, Frankie G? No, it would not be an easy. Well, no, China could easily conquer China's easy. They ain't none of them people allowed to keep guns, even though there's a billion, 200 million, and we'd kill freaking a billion first day. Oh yeah, man, we'd bomb Hong Kong, Beijing, shit. Most of their country would be gone. And,
I mean, all you need to do is bomb the Three Gorges Dam with conventional munitions, and that's like several 100 million dead right away.
It's not. China's different. So China's a little smaller than the United States, and its population areas are more densely packed because a lot of land in China is not usable to live on. There's lots of places there, mountains and stuff that you really can't live on. So, Beijing and Hong Kong alone, 400 million dead. And that's not anything else. I mean, that's the people who might actually go out and fight. The rest of the people we're talking about are the ones starving to death that can't get food, living out in the rural areas. Yeah, they're not even going to want. I told these people all the time. I said Japan conquered China twice. You know how they did it? By starving them to death. During World War II, they were actually trading their guns for bowls of rice.
And it wouldn't even get that far, Joe, because we'd cut off the Strait of Malacca, cut off 90% of their petroleum resources, and they would starve anyway.
Yeah, it's just they're not. The U.S. has more natural minerals, and of course we have all of the Americas below us to get minerals from. China's in a bad place. Russia does have minerals, but I don't know how much Russia's going to share anyway. Europe's not going to give them anything. They're going to be attacking them too. And Africa is not really going to help them out much because Africa's been, depleted in a lot of ways. It's a rough, and they know it. Xi Jinping is not stupid. When it comes down to world leaders, he's not a stupid world leader. He's made some mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes.
But he is blind. He is blind.
He's blind in where he's going. He needs.
Well, it's because he doesn't let his people. Nobody will tell him anything because they're worried about being shot. So even like the U.S. intelligence services are monitoring his communications, and they're linked in everything, but they don't hear any conversations because there are no conversations.
Yeah, because nobody's going to tell him. You're right about that. He needs to lighten up a little bit, and he needs to get off of Putin's ass and say, "Look, I'm sorry, Mr. Putin. I can't back you anymore. You're a cost of my country entirely too much money. You just need to end this war." And he could force Putin into ending this war by just cutting off buying gas from him and other products that, that most of Russia's exports right now are going to China. So if China just cuts them off, Russia's in deep shit. Russia's already in deep shit. Let's just be honest about it. They're close to financially bankrupt. Yeah, we'll see what happens, people. We're going to have a new president in 3.5 months. Well, technically not until January 22nd, but we should have a new president in 3.5 months. What do you mean? Am I calling it? Yeah, I'm calling it for Trump. Unless they put Trump in jail, he's going to be a new president. You mean we'll talk about that Friday night? Come talk to us about that. Yes, we'll talk about Michelle and her chances and everything. We'll talk about all of that. What do you mean? I'm only going by the polling situation right now, yes. And matter of fact, you can go from last night and listen to all 278, 275, 38, clear politics. All those polls are up there. We discussed everyone, and we discussed everyone in detail. And if you're really smart and you want to just do this the right way, go back for the last 6 or 8 shows, just the last hour of the show. You don't listen to the first 2 because we don't do polls in the first 2. And you can see the progression clearly over the last 8 weeks. You'd be freaking amazed, actually. And we have no pony in this, no dog in this hunt, so we just give you the numbers for what the numbers are. It's clear, pure, and simple. We're not telling you who to vote for, who not to vote for, what to bite, what to eat, none of that. We're just showing you the clear poll numbers from the red, the blue, and the independents. And of course, we do some include Kennedy and some don't. And you can see the differences in those as well. Yeah, great detail. That's what the show's for. Once elections are over, we won't be talking about that anymore. We'll be talking about something else. But right now, until the end of the elections, that's where we'll be. What's that? Do I think you'll go to jail? I'm not going to comment on that on this show. Come see us on Friday night. Anyway, we got to get out of here. I smell somebody's cooking in my house, making me hungry while we're talking. Kevin, it was great talking with you tonight. I had a great time. Sean, I have to get you back in so we can get actually into some of what we were supposed to be talking about. Anytime you want to come back, Kevin, just let me know. No, Frank, right to John. No, this was out of John's comfort zone. This show tonight. Yes.
Anytime you give me a holler, I can.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. We'll get you back on, and I'll get you on show. We might do. Maybe we'll do a military special in the next few weeks or something, and get a couple of the guys from that served on the show and who are done different things, and we'll just get into this deep. Because I mean, there's lots of questions about gun types. There's also questions about, things about how we perceive the world through guns and stuff like that. And hunting, I don't hunt anymore, guys. I wish I did. I really wish I did. I just don't have the time for it. I actually miss it. Yeah, I go fishing now because I got a bayou in my backyard. But
I'm known for my knowledge on small arms. The website kind of says that.
and I'd like to get into some of these hand grenades and maybe some RPGs and what was the little short over the shoulder one we had we gave to the Afghanis to kill the Russians?
Stingers. Stingers.
That's the anti-aircraft missile. Are you thinking of
Stingers?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. They were only about. I don't know. You can't see, but I guess they weren't real long.
Stinger.
I mean, they had a little round tube. And
Stinger missiles.
I thought they were, but I wasn't sure. They were.
So one thing I found that astonished me, because I've been working on grenades a lot, the Germans loaded exploding canister grenades with nerve gas.
Yeah, figure that out. I mean, that doesn't even surprise me.
No, the only reason they didn't use them, they didn't have the antidote.
Yeah, that's smart on them. What do you mean? Oh no, John, I did one of the F-16s I targeted with had a 603 grenade launcher on it. Yes, you could use different types of grenades in it. Yeah, smoke grenades, explosive grenades, flaming grenades. There's a couple of things that came with. It was about 6 or 8 different kind of grenades you could put into it. Actually, it even came. One of them came with a clip on the bottom that you could run your grenades through into the grenade launcher. The gun was awkward and heavy and a pain in the ass to carry. If you did it that way, if you were just dropping the grenades in and shooting them, that was a whole different thing. But you mean did the Army and military still use them? Yeah, I'm sure they probably still have the F-16. Well, no, they got something new out besides the F-16 now. I forgot what it was. Everybody thinks it's that P90 they see in Stargate, but that's not what it is.
No. The P90 was made for a purpose, and it's more of a policeman's weapon than...
Yeah.
We were given a briefing on it, a bunch of writers, and basically at like 300 yards, you can stop the bullet with a sheet of cardboard.
Yeah, it's not a long range weapon. It's in close counters, more like riot control, stuff like that. Crowd control.
For police, liability follows the bullet. And then P90 doesn't go that far. So
I did just recently see a submachine gun loaded full of them rubber tipped bullets. I don't know what kind of gun it was. I didn't recognize the gun, to be honest with you. I just recognized the ammo. Them freaking rubber tip bullets hurt people. Don't even think they don't. Them bitches sting like a
they goes all the way up to 40 millimeter.
Yeah, they will sting the living crap out of you. Don't get close to them; they're liable to break the skin. Yeah, my favorite weapon of all choice for crowds though is the water cannon. Washing their shit down the roads. I was watching them yesterday in some country doing it. Some Niagara somewhere, Nigeria or something. They were just washing people down the streets like it was nothing. They had 2 big ones out there. Just
actually, if you want to be the most effective eliminating a riot, use a flamethrower. You don't have to demonstrate it works.
Well, thanks to Elon Musk, we can all buy a personal flamethrower.
Isn't that wasn't it like banned because of the Geneva Convention or something like that? Like we don't use them anymore.
Oh hell no! Torches are all over. They still exist in many of the world's militaries. This Russian one's called the LPO-50, and I found one in Desert Storm.
I knew they were still designing them for a while because Elon had come out with this new one.
Oh, that's a toy.
Oh yeah, it's a toy. Well, it's not a toy,
no,
but
it's a company here in Cleveland making a flamethrower. That it's really close to a military one. It threw flaming liquid a distance, and a whole lot of it. We had one on display at our show. We also had a
Yeah.
regular torch. I'm sorry, an M9
I had
flamethrower.
seen them new compressed tank ones that where you're not carrying the tanks on your back, and they were compressed. They weren't. I forgot what the fuel was, but it was really highly compressed. It was two tanks that were highly compressed. You get about the same amount of flame out of them as you'd get if you were carrying two of the big 25-gallon tanks on your back and going on. Oh no, guys! They got. I seen one of those. The drone flamethrower. I seen that. Oh yes, but that was a gasoline flamethrower.
But do you know the civilian use for a flamethrower?
For starting fires. That's the only thing I know it's for.
Have you ever heard of the murder hornet? It's a hornet the size of your finger. And I've seen a film of a Chinese soldier with a flamethrower burning the nest out of a tree. And that's a perfect use for it.
Those things are in they're in like Washington State, right? Japanese murder hornets.
They discovered one nest, yes. Again,
good.
Son of a bitch to the ground.
Well, I've also seen drones with flamethrowers on them.
Oh yes.
So I mean, they're like little mini flamethrowers, but they're still flamethrowers. And then they had that one that sticks in that back of the truck that the firefighters use to start fires. To make the fire. Yeah. So I've seen those too, but. Well, nothing like a flamethrower scared the living crap out of you. Nobody wants to burn to death, man. There's other ways to go besides that. Sean, give them your website right quick. We got to get out of here.
So my website is www.seanpatrickhazlett.com. You can find my YouTube channel beneath my name, which is Through a Glass Darkly with Sean. And you should be able to find all my books on either.
Yeah, check out his books, check out his show. He had a couple of good shows recently. Go check him out. He just had Crazily Whitley Streamer on and reading poetry, no less. That was weird, by the way. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time. That was weird. If y'all know who Whitley Streamer is, then you'll understand weird. If you don't, go watch him and you'll understand what we're talking about. But anyway, on that note, we got to go. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and Arthur's Quill. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay out of trouble. Don't blow no shit up unless it's legal. No, good night.